So I really want to kind of know over here that, you mentioned that the more accolades that you have, it means the more you have failed, something that you mentioned quite early on. I would like to kind of marry these questions over here. If you can take us through the early stage of your entrepreneurship days, first thing I wanted to know in that, how did you really convince yourself, or how did you really talk to yourself and say, I have to start? Like, there is no back and forth happening now, and this is where I want to be, and I have to take this leap. And if you could take us through your probably top one or two failures of how did you really, come about to the situation that you're right now.
Yeah, great. Wow. It takes me back. It's about 6 years ago now since I started on this journey. And I think, how did it start? Wow. I mean, look, I was in a place where I had done a lot of travel. I was really grateful. I was in my final year of studies, and I just was not super excited about the path I was on. As I mentioned, I studied business, and then I went out to work in finance in my final year, and I just was just not excited. I wasn't excited about the day to day. I was looking at, the partners above me and everyone who had climbed that ladder, and I just really wasn't motivated by it. And I think for me, as we've talked about growing up, there was always that next thing. It was always what's next and how can we get to the next step? And for me, I honestly just thought, is this it? Is this what I've worked so hard for to, be sat in a job potentially that I just don't really enjoy? And it got quite severe, this feeling of, I feel really confused and like this path isn't for me, but I have no idea what is. And I think, the way I grew up, as much as both my parents are entrepreneurs, and, they run a very, successful company for the last 30 years together. So I
Amazing.
had that vision of them. I saw that, but I thought like, oh, business is when you're like 40 or you're older and you're like, my parents, and you just start a business and you do that. But I never thought it was possible to kind of start at 23. And so for me, it was really a journey of self-discovery where it all started from, I just want to sit down and chat to people who actually enjoy what they do. And I wasn't seeing that on the corporate path I was on. So I just kind of thought, stuff it. I'll just meet some people, I'll have a chat with them, and I will understand hopefully how they're doing things that they're passionate about. And for me, that person that I wanted to meet was someone who was young, who was like me, super passionate, but who had created something of their own, so their own business. I didn't even understand back then. I didn't understand what the word entrepreneurship meant. I had no idea what that even meant. I was like, what? Couldn't even pronounce the word entrepreneur. I was like, that sounds a bit strange to me. And at the time, this was kind of 2016, 2017, where although this idea of startups was a thing, it was nowhere near as prevalent